several freecorpsmen spread out around the room, putting out what remains of the fire. They find burnt weapons on the floor, including a shotgun, but there's no people in sight. Janet walks in and looks around. Where did he go? He couldn't have gotten away. The freecorpsmen continue searching, and soon two report back to her that the back door was broken down, and there's no trace of them. Janet curses. Another freecorpsman approaches. Found something that looks out of place. He shows her to a metal case on the floor in the corner with a symbol on top. She approaches and picks it up. Upon examination, she determines that it's unlocked. Let's get back to the boss. Everyone form up. A lone freecorpsman in the corner steps behind a wall, and his shadow elongates and then detaches from his body. He then casually falls in behind the other soldiers as they form ranks and get ready to leave. Dr. McMorning walks down a dark alley and pats down the singed ends of his coat. Sebastian and Jib bring up the rear, and part of Jib's ragged clothing is still on fire. Sebastian casually pats it out, and then turns to look at McMorning. Well, that was a close one, huh? McMorning mumbles to himself and stares off into the distance. Maybe next time we should bring 2 sacks of dogs, eh? Maybe you should shut up, McMorning snaps back. Sebastian slumps his shoulders, and they begin making their way back down the streets. They find the sewer grate, and climb down the ladder clumsily. So, do we know where we're going now? Of course we do. You know what we're after. Ramos certainly won't be needing it anymore. McMorning takes out a small glowing orb from his pocket. It looks just like a soulstone, but a bit duller, and it has a series of thin cracks going through its center. So that's what was in the box. No, McMorning says flatly, and keeps walking. Then what was it? Sebastian asks. Breadcrumbs. Sommer sits at a desk in a broken office in Gremlin's Wharf, his makeshift base of operations while in the city. The room smells like mold and stagnant water, and everything around him is soggy and rotten. He feels right at home. How many of these damn safe houses have we ransacked so far? And for what? A whole lot of nothing. I should have stayed in the bayou. At least there I might have had a chance to give them tuckets what's coming to 'em. Sommer looks at the handful of gremlins assembled in front of him. None of them decides to answer. You lot are useless. He shuffles through some papers on his desk and tries to read a few of them. After a minute, he gets frustrated and throws the papers on the floor. Well, somebody tell me what we know. Well, we knows the ones we looked in ain't the ones we want. So at least there's that, Lenny chimes in. You idiot. Of course they ain't the ones we're after. I need to know where is the ones we're after. He throws another handful of papers at his son. Other folks been raiding some of the storehouses too. I don't need to know what other people are doing. I need to know where we can find some real loot before I leave this damn city for good, Sommer yells. Well, if we combine the list of where we looked and the list of where they looked, there can't be so many places left now, can there? Lenny says, almost as if he's asking himself. Sommer thinks for a minute and then picks up his boomstick and hops down off his chair. Well, if the others know something we don't, I say we go ask them about it. Von Schill walks into a bar in the central slums, not far from the entrance to the quarantine zone that the Free Corps used to use when they had their base in Powderburg. He sits at the bar. Hey, Bruce. I'll take the usual. The bartender looks at him confused and surprised. Well, hey there. I almost didn't recognize you. Been a while, eh? Von Schill nods. Seems my kind aren't wanted in the big city anymore. The bartender pours a drink. Well, if you ask me, we're worse off for it. You folks brought a sense of security to our little corner of the city. Past few years, it seems the whole city's gone to shit. He puts the drink down in front of Von Schill. It's on the house. Schill nods again and tips back the drink. After a few minutes, the bustling and lively bar suddenly quiets down. Von Schill turns around and sees the largest gremlin he's ever seen, carrying a small piglet. He strolls casually into the bar and seems to be muttering something under his breath, as if he's rehearsing a script. He walks up to the bar and hops onto the stool next to Schill. He's tall for a gremlin, but he still struggles to climb onto the human-sized chair. He puts a small soulstone on the bar. You got anything suited to a gremlin? None of that watery human stuff. The bartender blinks a few times, but then notices the shining gem. Matter of fact, he turns around and rummages through a cabinet before returning with a plain-looking jug. Picked this up off a trader a while back. Said it was bona fide gremlin hooch. Haven't sold more than a shot or two of it since. Seems it'll burn a man's tongue right off. He pours a small glass. The gremlin reaches for the glass and tips it back. Well, it ain't as good as my pa makes, but it'll do. He then takes the jug and helps himself to another swig, before turning to Von Schill, who's been watching him closely the whole time. He offers the jug to the bigger man. Care for a real drink? Von Schill shakes his head. Last time I drank with your kind, I came to regret it. Suit yourself. He takes another sip. Care to talk business then? Lenny asks. Business? What business? Von Schill asks suspiciously. Well, I was sent here to find out what you know about this Ramos situation. Well, I don't know what you're talking about, and what makes you think I'd tell you even if I did? Von Schill makes an almost imperceptible motion with his finger, and a patron in the back of the bar heads towards the door. The Free Corps' temporary headquarters in the city was a run-down place, not much in the way of amenities. It made Freehold look luxurious. On the other hand, it was fairly secure. The guards at the nearby quarantine zone gate had a long-standing relationship with the Free Corps, and it didn't take much script to acquire their cooperation. But the worst part was that Ivan found the Free Corps armor to be very uncomfortable. He much preferred a proper suit. He walks towards the back of the warehouse and looks at a small door in one corner. That's where Von Schill came out of, so that's where he needed to go. He looks around and decides that there's too many guards at the moment. Even Mr. Mordrake would be seen trying to get inside. He approaches a stack of crates that the other men seem to be unloading and picks one up, taking the opportunity to look outside and count the guards on duty. He makes a mental note of the areas they seem to be patrolling. He then turns and carries the box inside, taking the opportunity to listen in on a few conversations. "How long you think we'll be stuck here?" "Not sure, but at least there's fewer rats than back in Freehold." Nothing useful. Maybe he should try tailing the librarian. Ivan heads outside, doing his best to walk deliberately, so it looks like he's on official duty. He manages to slip behind another stack of crates only a few feet away from the librarian. Just then, a man dressed in plain clothes comes hurrying down the street and approaches her. He whispers something to the librarian, and she then quickly turns towards the building. "You four," she says, pointing to the guards moving the crates. "On me." She moves away from Ivan's position, and he's unable to overhear the conversation, but she seems to give the men a series of orders, and then the four of them quickly follow the plainclothes man back down the street. Well, that'll make this a bit easier. Sommer watches from the bushes as the Free Corpsmen march away from the building in a hurry. He moves a bit closer and counts how many guards are left. "Well, that ought to do it." He pauses for a moment and then whistles loudly, prompting several loud cracks as gunfire rings out and bullets start bouncing off the walls of the building. The Free Corpsmen duck for cover and start to return fire as a dozen gremlins race across the street, firing their weapons and hollering. Sommer moves towards the back of the building. "A double diversion. These city folks think they're so smart. This'll teach them." He hears the sounds of battle raging as the Free Corpsmen return fire, the librarian barking orders and keeping her men organized. The gremlins take a few casualties, but the surprise and chaos allow them to get in close where their weapons can be more effective. Sommer gets behind the building and finds a window. Inside seems to be some kind of office. He looks around, and when he's satisfied that no one's looking, he fires a shot, shattering the window in a rain of glass shards. He jumps up and climbs through the window, falling on the floor into the office. He stands up and brushes himself off. "Now, where are you keeping the info?" He quickly looks around the room and starts rummaging through the desks and drawers. "Something in here is going to look important." Suddenly, he's interrupted by the sound of a click. He freezes and looks up as the door to the office opens and a Free Corpsman steps into the room. Ivan takes off his helmet and looks at the small gremlin behind the desk. "Well, evening. It seems we have ourselves a little problem here."